This is a clouds weather alert.
Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving an update on Debby and just kind of a little bit of a hybrid between that and a regular forecast update. I know it's been very busy here in the Weather Center. I'm keeping the logo red just in case things get crazy toward, especially the Carolinas, of flooding here as we look ahead into toward the timeline. I know it's been an active situation, and just thoughts and prayers to everybody impacted here in our area, especially. I know even some fatalities, so just terrible for the families there as we're looking at all of that. But you can see here our spin around our tropical cyclone is centered there off of Savannah. And you still see a little bit of accent here in the association with the spin in the system, even in our neck of the woods. So kind of interesting to see that here as I'll go ahead and pause this, and then we'll kind of go ahead and go over to our other radar source right now. You can see we do have some heavy downpour activity toward parts of Marion and Leafy counties. And not seeing the lightning right now, but we were seeing it just a moment ago with this. So kind of intriguing to see in the periphery. We saw some breaks in the clouds as we were getting further away from the center. I know it was pretty cloudy around Stark much of the day, but later on, getting some of that sun to come out, and we got some development there. You see a little bit of lightning with this, but I just did get some of the clearing there, and that developed some storms there, and really more just heavy shower acts in general in spots, not widespread. And we could see the same on that Wednesday. Not completely out of the question. We get a severe storm, or even very, very low chance of an isolated tornado warning popping up in our area on Wednesday on the backside. It's probably not going to happen. We saw a little bit of that though early Tuesday there around sunrise in the Orlando region. So we'll watch this to make sure that doesn't happen here. So we'll be in alert mode, but not too concerned. I mean, the cleanup process has obviously been ongoing here over the last 24 to 30 hours, 36 hours even, depending on where you are in our area, with the aftermath of Debby. But still interesting because of that slower movement, some impacts being felt. Of course, much worse up toward the Carolinas there. I know watching the situation so carefully. Let's go to our Jacksonville radar. You can see some of that moisture there, and even some winds, 10, 20, 30 there in gusts. Not overwhelming, but I know the ground saturated there, and we are starting to see some more development out of where like Hamilton, Eccles, and Suwannee counties here on the Doppler. And they really don't need to run in Suwannee County there for sure. As we're kind of looking at things, I know the saturated ground, and then a little bit of wind, some trees, additional ones could still fall. But again, not too big of a deal overall. The much bigger concern lies to the north. We've had a lot of flash flood warnings up there, but those have gone off the board here for the time being, it seems. As Debbie's back over the water, it should try to reorganize. It's been a situation that's gotten really more disorganized as time's gone on because it's sat over land so long, but it's expected to re-energize a bit. And in terms of coverage, of course, we'll break in if there's anything that warrants here toward our local 62 counties. But in terms of additional coverage this week, we'll either break in here for landfall, depending on how organized it is. Then, of course, if there's something really big nationally with it in terms of like this terrible flash flooding, we'll kind of decide, just depending on how serious it is, if we need to break in or just retweet some stuff there on Twitter/X at Cloud Casey. But if we don't need to break in for the landfall or something in between there, we'll have a formal late Thursday update. So just something to kind of bear in mind as we're looking at things here in the Weather Center. It's expected to re-strengthen just a bit there as we're looking toward areas off the coast. I suspect we'll be breaking in before late Thursday, meaning we wouldn't have a late Thursday update. But we're in alert mode, watching things, tracking things. You see here again the forecasted track. We've been showing this to you. I'll put a marker here where it currently is centered. And then as we get toward 8 a.m. in that area there, But then by 8 p.m., still off the coast there as we zoom in. Center may come ashore just east of Charleston. And then as we look there, southwest of Myrtle Beach by about 8 a.m. on Thursday. So very slow moving, obviously, as we're looking at things with this situation. That's the concern. If it can reorganize, maybe more efficient rainfall producers could be the story in here as we're looking toward, parts of the low country there, even in South Carolina. The strengthening that's expected to occur isn't supposed to be too significant, but we'll watch it just to make sure I know. As we go to infrared satellite, it is very, very disorganized right now. I have it on the meso view per se, so that's why it kind of looks weird, where we don't really have any boundaries there as it gets further off in terms of you can't actually see the satellite because it's just satellite view is just focused more in this area. But kind of telling that story there. I know, just continuing to watch things, continuing to track them. Storm Prediction Center here, their outlook shows tornado risk a little bit lower as we're looking there, as we're looking toward that Carolina coastline on that Wednesday. The tornado watch that had been in play there, I did multiple tornado watches with Debby. No longer seeing that at this point. Doesn't mean we may not see a reorganization of a tornado threat, but you saw how diffuse the storm looked. I know locally, looks like we had some tornadic activity toward Columbia and Union counties based on reports here in Florida. And it'd be interesting to see what the Weather Service in Jacksonville finds and Storm Survey. I know they've been so busy, so hopefully they've gotten a chance to go out there or even just gather data on maybe doing it. Maybe sometimes in these situations they could just do it from their office there, but folks have just been too busy, and hopefully we'll get an idea of what some of that accident is rated there. That happened late Sunday before the landfall of Debby. Of course, Debby's such a common name around here. We had 2012 Debby as well. That was a big deal with a lot of flooding in Live Oak too. I mean, they had the flash flood emergency in Live Oak. A lot of damage there from flooding. This time around, there was damage in 2012. So, crazy how things work there. Really, this deja vu there as we're looking at the overall scenario, as we're looking at the overall situation. Just trying to keep you safe and informed. I know even during our coverage there back on that Monday morning with Debby, we even caught some power flashes live during our landfall coverage. So let's go ahead and take a look back at that right now. So again, that's the storyline there. Oh, I think we just had another power flash. Another power flash. So kind of giving you a look there back at some of that Monday morning there in that 6 o'clock hour. That was really intriguing there toward parts of Dixie County, the Cross City region. I know they were hit so hard during Idalia. Went there last year to look at the aftermath of Idalia, and it was pretty substantial, especially further off, toward Horseshoe Beach with Cross City, of course, though being the biggest really, area where everybody kind of focuses there in toward that region. I'll kind of zoom in here toward this coast area because, as we look here at things, Levy County is getting some of that heavy rain right now, scattered, shouldn't, be too big a do it. There's Dixie County and Cross City, or we had those power flashes captured live on the air. And you can see, again, right now, seeing some downpours. They don't need them in Swanee County there. I know we're watching some of the rivers, creeks, and the like, too. Some flooding, and that's what we had, that flood warning banner in the corner when we were coming on. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. But just to kind of put things back together, I would say, with Debby here, let's go ahead and kind of going over toward the graphics right now, and you can kind of see here as we're looking at things, the latest at 11 p.m. Tuesday advisory max sustained winds at just 40 miles an hour. Again, it really weakened there. East movement at 5 miles an hour, so pretty slow. Trying to get in the waters, though, those warmer waters to try to reorganize. They're not as hot as some areas further off to the east, but your minimum central pressure, 996 millibars. I know it made landfall there. There's Steinhatchee in southern Dixie County Monday morning around 7 a.m. With the max sustained winds around 80 miles an hour and a barometric pressure on 979 millibars. And of course, that'll be reevaluated in post-analysis. But Category 1 hurricane making landfall into our covered area. And, that's the second one we've had here this year. As we're looking at things, as we're tracking the tropics in the Atlantic Basin, the earlier Category 1 was barreling toward Houston. That caused even more power outages because of the population density there and the like, and more problems, again, because of the population density. Higher gust reported, but some of that's to do with more sensors there, but both still very impactful for Category 1 storms as we go ahead and just, we'll be watching tropics as we look ahead, but nothing of note here right now that's too significant for us here in North Florida, South Georgia. So that's definitely some good news as we're looking at things and as we're tracking things here right now. Of course, still seeing some of the lingering moisture though from Debby. It's technically still associated with it, so it's still impacting our covered area here. But again, I know it's interesting because we had Beryl impact our area in 2012 and Debby then too. This time Beryl didn't impact us, but Debby did. And Beryl probably get retired because of what it did in the Caribbean. At this point, based on what we've seen in the Carolinas, cross our fingers, things haven't been quite as historic maybe as it could have been, but the threat isn't over. And we got to watch into the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast as well now, so it could still have a chance. We don't want it to have a chance of getting retired because that means it was really bad, but Adalia didn't get retired, so this wasn't as bad with like storm surge and the like toward our coastal county. Still pretty bad, still damaging, but not just, catastrophic per se. So wouldn't get retired because of what it did around our area. In some ways, the flooding from 2012 Debby was actually worse than some of our backyards here. I-10 has been closed for it, but the wind damage from this one was worse, but not enough to get retired. It could get that way if something crazy happens further to the north, and that's why we're keeping our logo red for that national storyline here, staying in alerting mode per se, just as that precaution, because there's still a chance something really bad could happen there. It could definitely still be, even more deadly as we look ahead. But I'm talking about like if it really gets some reorganization and get heavier convection with it, and the way it's moving so slow, that can be really problematic. It hadn't got near as much convection with it. I know it kind of stayed over land maybe a little bit longer than we were thinking here, and that kind of really caused it to break apart, which is some good news, obviously. And really lose some of that organization. It also didn't get quite as strong initially. It was supposed to make landfall. It was a little bit stronger of a hurricane, but it is back over the water now, so we have to really be careful. You just never know. Right now, the models look a little bit more in agreement, but you just never know as we're looking at things. And let me see if there's any questions or any comments for any of the viewers at home here. As we're looking, I don't see any right now, but our next name on the list will be Ernesto, then Francine, and then Gordon. I know Gordon was a hurricane, I believe it was in 2000, that impacted parts of our area. And then as we look here toward the local Debby river flooding, this is something that's really of note here because this is causing some problems in some of our communities. This is just one example of the river issues. The Santa Fe River there near Fort White. You can see as of the update there, late Tuesday, the flood stage was the observed value was 22.27 feet. It is in that accent flood stage, but going toward minor and then moderate pretty quickly, then major because it's all the moisture we've had in the region from Debby, and only a couple feet off the record. So that's looking to peak there as we get, late Friday into Saturday with that. So something that's really, you got to be taking precautions from as we look there. But let's go ahead and look at that rainfall forecast next 5 days now toward our area, toward Lake Stark. We're only expecting a 1/4 to 1/2 inch on average. Some localized spots could get a little bit more. You see a few spots there in our region in Florida getting maybe closer to an end. Some of it could be, just the afternoon storms reemerging after this influence moves away, and some of it could be what we're dealing with the lingering effects from what's still Tropical Storm Debby. And you see Southeast Georgia forecasted to get a little bit more here. Could still get some reorganization a little bit closer to the center. We'll still have to be a little bit careful, make sure we don't get like a flash flood warning in southeastern Georgia counties like Camden or Glenn. If we start to get some reorganization, we thought that might happen on Tuesday there, but it didn't happen like that. But this is forecasting a couple inches on average. But you see that highlighter yellow is still saying that as we look there, 10 plus inches on average is possible, and that's now looking to be, that's additional toward Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. Charleston is looking like only maybe another, I know I said only, it's still a big deal, still impacting folks. It's just not as this, Harvey or even closer to Katrina or Ida, like we thought it might get there with things. But you can see toward Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, as we're looking at things. Several inches of rain, and those areas can't handle the rain as well, so we could still have some flash flood emergencies issued as we get further up and toward areas along the eastern seaboard, along the I-95 corridor and the like. And we had a couple in our area. Don't see those issued by the Jacksonville office very much. We had one around Live Oak, another around Lake City. There's catastrophic flooding, and some folks with major problems from it. Of course, you can go to carter.com/radar for an active look at things when we're not on the air, and you can look at the radars for and just the radar view up toward that area as well. And then as we look at things back home here, you can see some of the impacts from Debby around Stark. Sunday through Tuesday, of course, counting Tuesday because we still had some influence from it then. And this is on my Davis weather station east of Stark. 7.04 inches measured. The heaviest rainfall fell at 5:54 a.m. on that Monday. The highest rainfall rate. The peak wind gust I measured, now it's only at 6 feet, so it's, as you get a little bit higher up, or many other anemometers that are the ones where we get the professional readings from, that's where they are, higher up than 6 feet. They got higher wind gust numbers, but I had the highest out of the southeast at 31 miles an hour at 9:34 a.m. on Monday. I know those other readings there, as we're looking, you can just kind of extrapolate out a little bit because I know it's still, it gives you a good idea of what it was at 6 feet, but a lot of those are measured much higher up. You're talking about like the Keystone Airport, I believe they had maybe a peak gust around 52 miles an hour, something like that there during the event. It still kind of gives you an idea of when the worst was with the wind. It's just a little bit lower down here as we're looking at the overall information in terms of that measurement. I have to have it at that height because that's just a more, it's just a kind of an all-in-one, system per se, where rain and temperature is a little bit better to measure at that height versus a little bit higher up, and a little easier to get to do maintenance as well. But I know in terms of temperature, it's been pretty warm. We haven't even talked about that, but even at night, it's been pretty warm. We're at 81 degrees right now. 81 degrees here at 1 something in the morning. I know that can't be good for folks without power. As you see, our lowest pressure, 1,001.8 millibars, measured at 5:13 p.m. on Monday. The center, a slightly weaker storm closer to that point, but you saw some of the worst of the impacts a little earlier on. But no, we've had that cloud cover around, which has kind of influenced things with the temperature some. Let's go ahead and kind of pull things up there in toward that regard. I know these are very warm for this time of night. Folks without power, it's not a good combination to have this warm temperature tonight because it's going to get harder to cool the house there at night when you are without electricity. So even if you're opening the windows, this isn't really that helpful here. I mean, it's going to be hot in some of our areas further west. It didn't get too hot around Stark for much of the day, but some of these areas further away from it, they weren't getting the cloud cover, and that's where more power outages are. And that's not a good combination, I know. As we look, let me switch to the other satellite view. I had this one on because it was giving us a better look at the storm, but just kind of fill it all in there. I know this isn't really showing thunderstorms for our area. I wouldn't let a rogue thunderstorm on Wednesday, but you can see the cloud cover and how the less and less cloud cover is kind of impacting areas like Taylor and Dixie and Lafayette County, even Levy County, of course, Jefferson County in there as well. They actually have the highest percentage of outages in our region, which I'll see here in just a second as we're looking at things. And now we're looking at things here across our 62 counties. And as we're just kind of giving you the very latest on everything here, just the very latest here in this update, this late night update, kind of replacing that forecast update that we generally do this time of night, this time of week. But of course, we're watching things across the 62 counties. I know we're in Bradford County as we're tracking the situation, and again, all those counties further west, you can kind of see that power outage situation improving. This storm made landfall in southern Taylor County around Steinhatchee, Dahlia. It made landfall on Keaton Beach there last year, end of August. So it was a Cat 3, Dahlia was, and this was a Category 1 as we're kind of looking at things, as we're kind of tracking everything. As we just look here, of course, we're always on for any tornado warning storm across the 62 counties. We're on for the ones all there that were in association with Debby there, as we were trying to give you all the latest updates on that, trying to give you the latest information. We broke in for that flash flood emergency in Swanee County there. I know around Live Oak we were concerned about 30 minutes. We're on for that. There was special cover to that one. And broken again for the Columbia County situation later on with a couple different updates really on that. But again, just trying to keep you safe and informed. Again, we're in alert mode, but 99% of the issues here across the region are over with in terms of the active weather part. Of course, the aftermath's a different story as we're looking at things and as we're tracking things. I know still a lot of power outages to remain in some communities. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. You got to remember, if you're using generators, don't use them inside. If they're portable ones, that is a deadly combination because of the risk from carbon monoxide poisoning. You got to treat all those intersections there that the traffic lights are out at as four-way stops. So it's really important to be careful in the aftermath of the storm. Don't use candles, of course, that can start fires. So just important, and you got to stay cool here with these hot temperatures I was alluding to. I know around 45,949 Florida customers still in the dark, according to Florida Public Service Commission. There is the 9 p.m. August 6th update. As we give you the very latest here on all this, just trying to let you know. I know Jefferson County there were the most. Monticello there, 86% of the customers in the dark. Lafayette County there, 69% of the customers in the dark. So areas like Mayo, in general, at least that's the biggest city in that county. Madison County, and Madison is the biggest city in that county, 46% of the customers in the dark. And now we were showing this to you back there live Monday morning and on this update. So to you again here in a second. But Dixie County, we had those power flashes, and still 38% of the customers in the dark in that county. So areas like Cross City, and speaking of Cross City, let's go ahead and show you those power flashes there as they were occurring in the area live Monday morning. We had some right before that there. And we also had some in Taylor County after that as well. As kind of showing you some of that in a Dixie County there. I was kind of, I think, in the way a little bit on the first one there when we had that live, and then Taylor County we didn't actually have live on the stream. I was looking at it as we were talking about something else in the stream. Those are the ones I noted, but here's just a little snippet again of that coverage of the power outage situation as it happened live Monday morning. So again, that's the storyline there. Oh, I think we just had another power flash. Another power flash. So again, just trying to kind of tell that story to you guys if you were there in terms of the images there Monday morning around Cross City. I mean, that was happening in a lot of backyards there, of course, flooding in a lot of areas. I mean, even not an area, around Sarasota, they had major flooding problems there. And then just finishing off this list, Hamilton County, Jasper, 36% of the customers in the dark there. I know that is a county there. I know located along, and the city of Jasper located along I-75. So as we go ahead and move through the graphics here now, of course, hurricane season goes all the way to November 30th, so it's always important to have that hurricane kit up to date. And if you use some stuff out of that hurricane kit for this storm, make sure you're restocking it. I know there'll be a tax-free savings period closer to Labor Day, but it's still always good to be prepared and restock things even prior to that, just in case, because this came up pretty quick. I know last Tuesday or late Tuesday update, we were saying, just watch this in case, but we were leaning toward it not being a local impact. But things shifted quickly. We shifted our message in quickly on Wednesday, and in our lives, they covered us some stuff in South Georgia, and then posting some things that we were much more concerned about it there not too long after that. I know we went into alert mode during that coverage on Wednesday, turned that logo red because we saw the trends there quickly becoming more concerning than modeling. But now as we look here, doing this a little different tonight, just kind of giving you an abbreviated forecast here in terms of some of those highs. I want to do this to remind folks that heat danger. Just make sure you're drinking plenty of water here in the aftermath and staying as cool as you can if you don't have power, especially in the aftermath of Hurricane Debby across our area. Of course, still a tropical storm and technically still impacting us with some scattered showers here and there. And if you've had, a situation where power is still out, that might actually cool you off a little. Might not be the worst thing, but if you have flooding, it's not a good thing. So it's definitely a give and take. As we're looking 94 expected today, but it's getting a little warmer toward Tallahassee. Some areas could get closer to 100 over there. It's going to vary a little bit more because of the cloud cover and the wake of Debby there. Tomorrow, 94 and average again, and it's going to vary some, but 91 on Friday, 91 Saturday, and we are going to see an increase there in some of the summertime storms later on, but even a little bit of the influence from Debby still causing some shower activity here today. You see some of that there into tomorrow as well here to some degree before it becomes more of a normal pattern. There'll be increasing rain chances as you do look ahead. So again, that's kind of the storyline there as we're looking at things. I just wanted to make sure you have all that information there at your disposal here as we break everything down for you guys. It's just so important to do that here. Try to give you the very latest on everything here at Cloud Weather. Let me go ahead and get some of my model guidance up here. This might help you guys at home understand just the expectation really with Debby over the next 36 to 48 hours or so. We'll just kind of give you guys an idea here of what it's kind of looking like. So let me go ahead and move away here from the graphics right now, and we'll show you that forecast model. We'll go ahead and see that forecast model there. You can kind of see things. That's generally what radar's looking like here at about 2 a.m. or so, the estimate of that, the forecast of that. And then we'll kind of advance things. I know you can't see as much of this out further over because there's no radars in the Atlantic, but this is a guess of what's going on. Maybe overdoing things just a little bit here as we look. I know we'll kind of zoom around just a little bit more here, and I'll zoom this over just so you can see our area a little bit better. But again, just kind of clicking through here, that gets the view there at about 10 a.m. On this Wednesday here, August 7th, 2024. And then you can kind of see some of that moisture around our area, pin one in here and there, and even a little bit more organized stuff at times, maybe. Southeast Georgia, just watch to make sure we don't get a severe storm or, the very outside chance of a brief tornado warning or something in our Southeast Georgia counties, maybe, according to this. But because some of the parameters would come into play theoretically, but it's not Northeast quadrant, so maybe not really favorable. You see a lot of moisture there towards South and North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, maybe more so now based on their latest projections. They already got a lot of rain and some flooding in Charleston still very significant, but not maybe just catastrophic there as of this point at least, which is some very good news, obviously. And then this is getting here into the 8th, and then we're kind of still some of that pin 1 in. I mean, at times still around Charleston, and you'll have to watch further up because some of those areas can't drain as good. Let's go ahead and kind of move the map a little now. This is on Thursday. You see some of this moisture still in the Carolinas, and some of those inland areas could be favorable for flooding. You see some heavier rain, maybe still around Charleston and Myrtle Beach at times. So, and with Harvey, they had 5-inch rain rates an hour, and around Houston, the center, points there even sitting just into the Gulf of Mexico, and some of those bands set over areas, maybe for more than an hour, 5-inch an hour rate, which with this, maybe not seeing that, sit over an area that flood prone for that long, being that organized. But again, just kind of giving you a rundown and all of that there with Debby. I know there'll be a new update here soon on Debby from the Hurricane Center. You can get those latest advisories on cloudweather.com. As we're looking at things, as we're tracking things here with Debby. I know we're seeing all these different rivers with flood warnings. This is like the Steinhatchee River as I'm looking at things over here. But you can get all the latest advisories there and the latest track looks at things, cloudweather.com, when we're not on the air. So again, we'll break in for landfall and as is necessary, whether local or national, for those concerns, if and as they arise. If we really just don't see much at landfall with this, then and we're not breaking in before then we'll have a late Thursday forecast update / track and Debby up like we're doing now, something like that. But we'll be back on here at least for the next couple of days. We're always watching things, always tracking things on the different platforms. Facebook, Casey Cloud, Everybody X Cloud Weather, Twitter / X at Cloud Casey, YouTube at Cloud Weather. I know you have Twitch there, Cloud Weather, cloudweather.com. I know I have live coverage of situations like what we had Monday morning there with our storm system coming on through there. I know such a big deal there was Debby there moving through some of our communities. That's some, I didn't double check it. I think that's the most rain we've gotten there since I've been keeping really more organized record of that Davis weather station since 2021 here. The most rain we've gotten from any event here east of Stark. So that's interesting to note there. I believe also was in the 5-inch range. We've had, some 5-inch or so days, but I have to look back at the record, but it seems like about the most we've gotten with a little over 7 inches total, about 6 inches or so falling on that Monday there, and causing some flooding issues around, as we're looking at things here, causing some problems in local communities. I know, maybe not as bad as some of the issues caused by Debby 2012 here in Bradford County. Believe it or not, I know, I believe Alligator Creek, it was just, it was really high. Images even a bit on the national news there in 2012. So that kind of is, something that's interesting to keep in mind there as we're looking at the overall scenario. As we're kind of looking at things here across the area, because that was a problematic. I know there was some flooding in the country club there in 2012 as well. That was pretty noteworthy. So kind of just intriguing to keep in mind there as we track everything here, as we give you guys the very latest here in toward the Weather Center. I mean, as we're always on top of things the best we can be, of course. We're giving you coverage like what we gave you there Monday morning. Another look back at the power flashes. So, again, that's the storyline there. Oh, I think we just had another power flash. Another power flash. So, one more look at that. Have a great night, everybody. Let me just make sure there's no questions or comments from any of the viewers out there. Again, we were on for hours and hours. That's just one snippet of the coverage. I mean, just, one of the big moments there. And some of those, unfortunately, are still in the progress, of Roy being repaired there because of the damage caused by Debby. I know, just thoughts and prayers out to everybody impacted by this dangerous system, and it's still an ongoing threat for parts of the country. So, I mean, even some moisture in our area, but bigger deal further to the north. We'll break in if and as needed. Whether it's for landfall, other important details needing to be provided, or of course just a late Thursday update on the situation. You see a new lightning strike there popping up in the ward parts of the region. Let me go ahead and kind of see that here on another mode that we have. That is in the ward Lake City now in Columbia County. Just kind of popping that on our other source, and no rotation or much wind energy associated with it, but just intriguing to see there late at night with the circulation there, Debby, off toward the north and the east. So just breaking that down for you there. But you can go to interactive radar there. That's available. The interactive radar that's available on clothing.com. /radar for when we're not on the air, or when we're on the air. Just that's an option for you guys out there. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. Have a good night.